All right, so you want to talk Aquarius? Buckle up, because we're doing a deep dive into this fascinating sign. We're talking about innovation, humanitarianism, that independent streak, and to help us decode the Aquarian psyche, we've got our expert joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So we've been digging into Maria Silza's book, Aquarius, the ultimate guide to an amazing zodiac sign in astrology. And it's got some really fascinating insights. What aspects of Aquarius are you most excited to, I don't know, I guess, to talk about today?
Well, Aquarius, it's interesting, right, that they're known as these humanitarians of the Zodiac. They're very connected to their community, but they have this fierce, independent streak that can really throw people off. It's kind of a paradox.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's something that a lot of people misunderstand.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, Silva, she doesn't shy away from it. She's like, these are the visionaries.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones who are really challenging the norm. They want to make the world a better place. They embrace ideas that sometimes I'm just like, whoa, where did that come from?
Right, and that's their ruling planet, Uranus.
Oh,
Right.
there you go.
So Uranus is that planet of like revolution, of technology, sudden change, breaking free from limitations. And that is so ingrained in Aquarius. That is like, that makes up so much of who they are.
So they've got this direct line to the future, but they're also like very community oriented. But then you were saying they also have that need for independence.
Yes.
And those two things. How do those two things even coexist?
Exactly. And people get tripped up by that.
Yeah, it's very paradoxical.
It's like they mistake that need for independence as a lack of caring. But it's really that for an Aquarian to thrive, they need that intellectual stimulation and personal space.
Okay.
So they can care very deeply for other people, for their communities, but they need the freedom to do it on their own terms without feeling stifled or like they're in a box.
So it's less about rejecting connection and more about redefining it in a way that works for them.
Precisely.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this is especially true in relationships, right?
Right.
Like, if an Aquarian feels suffocated, that is a deal breaker.
Oh, yeah, they're out of there.
They need that space.
Done.
It's not personal, it's just essential to who they are.
And it makes you think about, you think about famous Aquarians. A lot of them are inventors. A lot of them are revolutionaries, people who really push boundaries. And I wonder if those people were forced to conform, if they were constantly being asked to compromise their independence, would we have the same contributions from them? I don't know.
It makes you think, right? Because it's not just about what they prefer. It's about what allows them to thrive. That independent streak, that's where the creativity comes from. That's where their unique perspective on the world comes from.
Right.
If you take that away, who knows what you get?
I mean, what happens to those relationships then? Like, if you're in a relationship with an Aquarian, how do you navigate that based on the book?
It's really about respecting that need for autonomy without misinterpreting it as disinterest. It's about finding that sweet spot between giving them space to do them, but also showing up when it matters.
Which, let's be honest, that's tricky with anybody.
It is. It's a dance.
Right.
But understanding that need for independence, that's key to the Aquarian psyche.
Okay.
And while we're talking about things that maybe other people don't always get about Aquarius,
yeah, let's do it.
The emotionally detached stereotype.
Oh, come on.
It follows them everywhere.
It does.
And Silva touches on this in the book as well.
Yes, thank goodness, because I think that's a big one to unpack.
It is. And I think this is where Uranus comes in again,
Oh, interesting.
Because they feel deeply, but they process those emotions through such a lens of logic and intellect. Like, their emotions are filtered through this analytical lens. And so to other signs, especially signs that are very outwardly emotional, they might seem detached.
Oh, so it's not that they're not feeling it, it's that they're processing it differently.
Exactly. And maybe even expressing it in ways that are not so obvious.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
And this is why intellectual compatibility is so important for them in relationships. Because if you're on the same wavelength mentally, you're more likely to understand their unique way of processing and expressing those emotions.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And, the truth is, they're not any less emotional.
Right.
It's just different. And honestly, I think that's part of what makes them so fascinating.
It's true. So we're really starting to see that to really get Aquarius, you kind of have to challenge some of those assumptions you might have.
Yeah, absolutely.
About how they process their emotions, that need for independence. It might not look how we expect it to look, but that doesn't make it any less real.
Exactly. And I think that extends to how they view relationships as well.
Okay, yeah.
Which Silva really dives into.
And she does, yeah.
In the book. And one thing that I thought was really interesting is that she made this point that for Aquarians, friendship is not just a type of relationship, it's like the foundation of all relationships.
Okay.
So romantic relationships, familial relationships, even professional relationships.
Wow.
They all stem from this bedrock of friendship for them.
Which, I guess, when you think about it, it makes sense. If what really speaks to you, if what you really need is that intellectual stimulation, if you thrive on these conversations that just like explore the universe and everything in it, you're going to be drawn to people, whether it's romantic or friends, who can challenge you on that level, who bring new ideas to the table. It's like, what is it? Great minds think alike.
Great minds challenge each other.
Yes. That's a better way to put it.
And Silva, actually, she has this line in the book. I don't remember it exactly, but it's something along the lines of, if you're going on a date with an Aquarius, like, skip the flowers, come armed with a philosophical debate instead.
Oh, I love it. When I read that, I literally laughed out loud because it's so true. It's so them.
It is.
But I think it speaks volumes about what they find attractive, you know.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't appreciate, romance or a nice gesture, but those things are only meaningful if they're built on that foundation of shared intellectual curiosity.
Right. It's about really connecting mind to mind before anything else.
That spark.
Exactly.
But that kind of ties into, I think, another point that she made about Aquarian loyalty. Because they might not be the most outwardly affectionate.
Right.
But she says their loyalty runs deep, especially once they've committed. But, and there's always a but, right, with Aquarius.
There's always something more discussing.
Not a loyalty easily given.
That's very true.
So what's the key to that then?
Well, it goes back to that independence, right?
Okay.
Because think about it. With that strong sense of self, that need for freedom, they're not going to just commit to anyone or anything.
Right. It's a big deal for them to give up even a little bit of that.
Huge deal. So when they do commit, when an Aquarian says, I'm here for you, I'm with you, it's not because they feel obligated.
Right.
It's not because of societal pressures or anything like that. It's a choice. They've thought about it.
A conscious choice. Wow.
And that makes their loyalty so much more powerful.
Yeah, it's really a true loyalty because they're not just saying it. They're choosing to be there.
Absolutely. And again, this goes back to that Uranian influence.
Right. Uranus, yeah.
They have this need to break free from expectations, and that includes how they express something like loyalty.
It's not going to be that conventional, here's a Hallmark card kind of loyalty. It's going to be something deeper.
Exactly.
More meaningful.
It's about showing up consistently, authentically.
Actions speak louder than words.
Always. And I think Silva put it beautifully in the book.
Oh, she had a quote about this, didn't she?
She did. She said something like, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something like, an Aquarian's love is like a slow-burning fire.
Yes.
It might not blaze with the intensity of other signs.
Right.
But it burns long and true, and it warms you from the inside out.
Oh, I love that. It really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
And it speaks to that hidden depth that often gets overlooked.
Totally.
Because under that cool intellectual exterior,
Right.
there is this wellspring of passion and loyalty, but it's not easy to access.
Okay, so that begs the question then. How do you earn that loyalty? How do you get to that deeper level with an Aquarian? It really does. It's like, okay, so you've piqued my interest. Now, how do I make this work?
Right. And I think Silva, she gives us, some good guidance on that.
She does, yeah.
She really does.
And I think one of the things that really resonated with me was this idea of subtlety. Like, forget the grand gestures. Understanding an Aquarius is about recognizing those small acts of loyalty, those little things that they do that show you they care, even if it's not super obvious.
Yes. It's about paying attention to how they show up for you, not just what they say.
Really?
Like,
Oh.
do they drop everything to listen when you're having a tough day?
Yes. Or, do they champion your dreams, even if those dreams are a little bit out there?
Exactly.
I think that's Aquarian love in action.
It is. It's that steadfast support. They're not going to make a big deal about it.
Right, exactly. And respecting their space without assuming that it means they don't care.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I don't know if I really made that connection before, that independence and that loyalty are kind of intertwined until I read this book.
Yeah. And it really makes you think, it challenges us to kind of rethink, what we expect from relationships, how we think they should look and feel.
Totally.
Because it reminds us that connection can look a million different ways. And the important thing is finding those people who resonate with us on that deeper level.
Yes. Those people who get you quirks and all.
Exactly.
And maybe even, I don't know, kind of appreciate those quirks.
Especially when those quirks challenge us to grow.
Right. And challenge our own perspectives. Which, let's be real, Aquarians are really good at doing.
Yep.
They're not afraid to shake things up. They're not afraid to challenge the status quo, which I'm sure you know can be exhilarating.
Absolutely.
But also, sometimes, a little bit,
Frustrating.
Yeah, a little frustrating.
A little bit.
But that's also the beauty of them, right? I mean, they keep you on your toes. They really make you think differently, question your assumptions.
Absolutely. And that's that Uranian energy again.
There it is, Uranus.
Always pushing for progress, always pushing for change, always pushing for something better.
And if they are the sign of the future, like a lot of astrologers think, what does that tell us about where we're headed as a society? I mean, it's kind of a mind-blowing question to think about,
It is. What if the future is this place where being an individual and being part of a community aren't these opposing forces? What if they're two sides of the same coin?
And innovation and compassion can coexist.
Exactly.
I love it. That's a future I can get behind. And listeners, don't stop exploring this. We've just scratched the surface here. Pick up Mari Silva's book, Aquarius, The Ultimate Guide to an Amazing Zodiac Sign in Astrology. Learn more and keep those great questions coming. We'll catch you in the next episode.